Hi, and welcome back to the Canceled News. I've been off for a couple weeks. I was actually road tripping across the country. I visited a bunch of different states. They're all shut down. There's nothing to do right now. I also visited a bunch of national parks, and I was very excited to hear while I was on the road that the Great American Outdoors Act was signed into law. Now, as divided as the country is right now, this is something we should all be happy about. This is the biggest investment in our national park system since Theodore Roosevelt, and it was a bipartisan effort. It was introduced by the late John Lewis, and it was signed into law by President Trump. So there they are together. They both deserve a lot of credit for this. So thank you to President Trump, and thank you to John Lewis. Of course, all the media could focus on is that as he was announcing this historic legislation, Trump mispronounced the name of one of America's most famous national parks.
When they gaze upon Yo-Semites, towering sequoias.
Now, as much as they want to focus on his slip of the tongue, this was a great thing that Trump did, and it will help even lesser-known national parks like Acadia, Vaginers, and Dunanely. Now, I'm excited for the show today because for the first time ever, I have a real guest on the show. For once, it's not me in a disguise or me doing some stupid voice. I'm going to be interviewing my friend Maribel Serrano. She's a Mexican immigrant who came to this country as a child, and she's been working on a documentary about her path to citizenship through the DACA program. So all of my liberal viewers can be mad when I do a bunch of pro-Trump jokes at the top of the episode, and then my conservative viewers can be mad when I interview an illegal immigrant at the end. But first, here's what's in the news. This past week, Joe Biden said that black people aren't diverse and asked a black journalist if he was a junkie. But then he picked a half-Jamaican woman as his running mate, so that should fix everything. After sparring during the primaries, Joe Biden finally picked Kamala Harris as his running mate. So he didn't want her on this bus, but he does want her on this bus. As Biden's running mate, her duties will include accompanying Biden on campaign events, reaching out to minority voters, and reading his eulogy at the convention on Thursday. Earlier in the week, Biden was asked if he's taken a cognitive test by CBS's Errol Barnett, and Biden responded by asking him if he's a cocaine junkie. Now, I'll give Biden a pass on this one because when you move, think, and talk as slowly as Joe Biden, everyone else seems like they're on cocaine. But it's good he wasn't a cocaine junkie because if he had been, Kamala Harris would have thrown him in jail for a long time. This, of course, all came after Donald Trump took a cognitive test and was asked to memorize person, woman, man, camera, and TV. Now, the left mocked him relentlessly for this, even though they can't keep man and woman straight. Some big news on the coronavirus. Vladimir Putin is claiming that Russia has developed a successful COVID vaccine. Bill Gates immediately flew into a rage and yelled, "But yours doesn't even have microchips or mind control." The Big Ten has announced that they're postponing the college football season until spring, which means it only has to get postponed 42 more springs for Jerry Sandusky to coach again this season. According to the New York Times, President Trump once seriously looked into having his face added to Mount Rushmore. He then added, "Or if that doesn't work, can we at least put Obama's face on the Devil's Tower?" In his ongoing criticism of mail-in voting, President Trump claimed that someone received a ballot for their dog. Trump is worried the dog will vote for Biden since by the end of his presidency, he'll be a bunch of buried bones. If you want to recreate a 90s movie night, the world's last blockbuster in Bend, Oregon is now available to rent for sleepovers on Airbnb. They'll even have your parents check in on you at midnight to make sure you and your friends are watching Independence Day and not Showgirls. And don't expect to watch any new releases, they're all out. Simon Cowell broke his back in a bike accident. That's weird, you think that guy could afford a car. Alyssa Milano revealed on Twitter that she's been battling COVID-19 since March and it's causing her to lose her hair. She said that on the upside, it's also causing her to gain attention. Antonio Banderas also tested positive for coronavirus. Banderas is expected to make a full recovery, but tragically doctors were unable to revive his career. Discovery Channel's Shark Week kicked off this year with a special where Mike Tyson goes diving with sharks. This is his diving instructor, Paul DeGelder. Now, it's amazing that DeGelder still took Mike Tyson diving with sharks because this is true. He had both his arm and his leg bitten off meeting Mike Tyson. A grandmother in Northern California is social distancing by living in a tiny house in her family's backyard. She'll stay there until she moves to a tiny urn on the mantle. 5 horses have been found butchered in a Texas town this year, and police believe someone is eating them. They're looking for someone who's so hungry he could eat a horse. A high school in Georgia briefly suspended a student who tweeted out a picture of a crowded hallway with no masks or social distancing. The school maintains it had less to do with the picture and more to do with the comment. After a reporter accused him of lying, Donald Trump walked out of a news conference. Trump's final words were, "I don't need to take this, and neither do my 160 pounds of lean muscle." A Chihuahua in North Carolina saved its owner who was having a stroke. See, that's why you get a dog. A cat will just let you die and then chew on your toes until they find you. According to intelligence reports, China wants Biden to win and Russia wants Trump to win, while Canada's just hoping everybody has fun out there. Rapper Tekashi69 broke his wrist after tripping over his dog at home. See, that's why other rappers are always asking where my dog's at. Ghislaine Maxwell has been taken off suicide watch. She's now been upgraded to having a dog sit outside the cell with keys in its mouth like in Pirates of the Caribbean. That's all for the news. Now, like I mentioned, today I have my first real guest on the show. She's what some people would refer to as a dreamer and what other people call an illegal immigrant. Now, I try to use the inoffensive, politically correct term, American who wasn't supposed to be here. And she's going to talk to us about her path to citizenship through the DACA program. Here's Maribel Serrano. Welcome to the Canceled News, Maribel. This is exciting. So you got your citizenship this year, and you are now the first guest on my Canceled News. So 2020 must be a pretty good year for you all around.
Especially being the first guest, that's the most exciting thing that's happening. So I didn't actually get my citizenship. I got my residency, which is equivalent to a green card.
Okay.
So no one actually there's no such thing as getting citizenship without that intermediate step known as a permanent residency, which is a green card.
So let's go to like the start of your story for people who aren't familiar with it. Mm-hmm. You are what they call like a DACA immigrant or a dreamer. You were brought here as a child, and you didn't even know that you were brought here illegally when you were until what, like high school?
High school, yeah. Uh-huh. And then the way I was brought in was actually through the border. Someone knew a border officer and border patrol who let the car in as my sister and I were sitting in the back seat. So we were like waved in, and so a wall would not have stopped us nor a lot of people from coming in because we actually came in through border patrol.
But luckily it'll stop the next people. now it's gonna stop people.
Well, it wouldn't have, there's a lot of people it wouldn't stop, like people who are determined. We grew up here hearing work hard and you'll be able to be anything you want when you grow up. And so that's what I always heard. That's what I always thought. And when I was 16 and my friends were starting to get jobs and driver's licenses and they were congratulating each other, I wanted to be part of that as an overachiever. And then that's when I found out that I was not documented. And I was connected with a family friend who took me to, I don't even remember where it was, but it was a sketchy place in LA. And then I was instructed to go to take passport style photos at a photo studio. So I did that and went to eat, came back, and this person who I was with was given an envelope. So I opened it and there was a card that said resident alien with my face on it. And that's the first time in my life that I ever saw the word alien as spoken, like to a person, right? I've heard of
not like extraterrestrials.
Yes, exactly. Not like sci-fi movies, but
yeah,
it's the first time that I saw that alien would apply to a human, and that human was me.
And now, is that when you started the process of trying to get your legal residency here? Like, what was that journey like? Because I mean, I've known you for a while, and I know this has been something that you've been working on for a long time, and there's a lot of obstacles. I think I'm more of a conservative person. I'm more of a Trump supporter. But what I do find, because I know a lot of people, especially in California, have come from all over the place and have tried to get their citizenship or their residency here. Mm-hmm. There's not really a clean, simple process to do it.
So in my case, as someone who's a young person who came into this country with no permission and illegally, there is no application. There is no such thing. And that is why this movement is started, because there's literally physically no actual process in the legal system that allows for that.
What happened this year then? Was there a change in policy, or did your efforts kind of finally come to fruition? What happened at the beginning
Yes.
of this year?
Yeah, so I got my green card January 2020. Um, and it is my efforts that came to fruition from decades, of me doing research. And it happened through my marriage. We had a very, very rocky relationship, but I couldn't adjust my status through him previously because I didn't have a legal entry, which a lot of people don't realize. It's necessary to prove how he came into this country to be able to continue with the process through our marriage. So some people could think it's easy to just marry someone who's a citizen and get papers. It's not like that at all. I did that and I didn't qualify.
That's how I'm planning to get a girl. Just
do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But for me, I was so committed to, no, I want to do it right. I want to do the right thing. I don't want to just get married for this. Why can't someone who is a good person, has followed all the laws, has gone to college, why can't I do it the right way? Why do I have to try and marry someone or find a different way to do it? Like, that just didn't sit right with me.
One of the most memorable moments I have with you, when we were hanging out, we were actually hanging out at a bar together the night of the Donald Trump Hillary Clinton election.
Yes, we were.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was an interesting time because we were sitting in that bar in Los Angeles as the election results were rolling in.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you asked, like, everyone in the bar was shocked. I was enjoying it. Everyone else seemed to be having a bad night.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember one of the things, when Donald Trump won, you said to me, you said something along the lines of like, please tell me everything's going to be okay. And, and I think one of the things that I like about you and our friendship, and I think what we need more in this country is, even though we're on different sides of the political spectrum, we've always been able to have those conversations. And you have your political views, but you're not an extreme person.
I'm not an extreme person. No, I'm not. I believe in sharing stories with heart and showing the humanity behind them so that we can take steps to do what's right. And I think that hate and division makes that a lot harder. And yeah, that's definitely one of the highlights that I've had with you. And I adore you so much. Like, you're such a good person and you're funny. And
well, I wouldn't go that far. I'm an okay person, and sometimes
you're the first person that I was confronted with that had such different views than I did, that I realized, like, oh, he thinks very different politically, but he's a really good person, and I've chosen powerfully, especially in this climate, to judge people based on their character. It's difficult. A lot of people are breaking long-term relationships, childhood friendships over this.
Yeah, there's people that I see that's what always I think bothers me about what's happening with the political climate in this country, when I see people that just unfriend everyone that they disagree with. Mm-hmm. And I've heard you talk about this before, but I think what's cool for people to hear is, even coming to this country the way you did, and going through what you've gone through, you have such a deep appreciation for America.
My father always told me that this is the greatest country in the world.
And now, if people want to, you're working on a documentary about your experience, right?
Yeah, so my documentary is called My DACA Life, and the website is mydacalife.com, and it actually highlights my first time returning to Mexico after 25 years. Then we came back, and that's when the election happened, within like a few weeks of us returning from Mexico. And I love that you remember when I said, tell me everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's like you were there with me to experience like the fear and almost like the uncertainty.
Yeah. And now you have your residency, so I guess everything with Trump's presidency worked out in the end.
I see what you're doing.
Everything's good.
I see what you're doing.
And then you have a YouTube show called Hoy and Tomorrow, right?
Yes, to bring personal development to the Latino community and really to anyone.
Yeah, so people should definitely check that out if they want to see a show that will help you become a better person and not just be filled with stupid jokes like canceled nukes. So
exactly.
Exactly. So yeah, one of the things I love, like I said, is that, even though we have different political views, we've always gotten along. Now, obviously, I'm a Trump supporter, but when I have guests on, I want to be able to give them a chance to share their views as well. So, who do you want to endorse in the upcoming election?
I'm not excited about, honestly, either party, but I would endorse Biden.
Donald Trump and Mike Pence.